Hello, everyone. Welcome to the very first episode of Blank Confidential, the official podcast of the Blank 101 Club at MIT. I'm your host, Chinmay, and this episode is all about heists. We have our panel here, and I'll now let the speakers do their own thing. Let's get started with Heists 101. Go on.
Hello, everybody. I'm Shruti.
Hey everyone, I'm Tejas Pandey.
Hey guys, I'm Karan here.
And today we're going to be talking all things heists. So, what is a heist? Technically, by a dictionary definition, it's just to take something, it's to steal something or take unlawfully. But that's technically not just what heists are. They're plannings, executions, and the aftermath of what actually happens. To heist is to have something against the position of the artifact. It's to have a whip smart team that you assemble on your own that could carry out your heist. And it's also a very high stakes operation that often raises the heart rate. So, is there a moral reason behind heisting? Is there ever a moral reason behind stealing?
I mean, the thing is, what my entire reasoning behind a heist is, there is always a moral reason towards heisting. I think it's main. I mean, the thing is, you can sort of justify it because people who generally heist have had a life so hard and kind of like life's been unfair to them that they've had no option to other than heist. Like generally you see the people who perform heists are people who have sort of like deteriorated and like kind of get detached from the society, and people who are haven't life hasn't exactly been kind to them. So those are generally the people who go after ice, and to them it's of course justifiable, because like maybe there were like some family issues, or like there was some like big cheese in a thug organization who like screwed him over or something. So I think every heist has a moral reason, and without a moral reason, it really makes no sense. Like there's nothing different between a heist and a robbery without a moral reason. So I'm definitely someone who actually likes the moral reason behind the heist rather than the heist itself, in certain occasions, of course. So
Yeah, for sure, Karan. To be honest, that entire emotional angle of social injustice that all the robbers have faced, I think that adds a really interesting angle to any heist that is being performed. And that's the premise of every story, right? Like the fact that they were facing so many issues, and the only way for them to sort of escape all of this is to conduct a heist is something that makes it really interesting to me. Speaking of it, according to you guys, what makes a perfect heist?
in my opinion, okay, I'm gonna speak as someone who um kind of like seeing a heist from a third person view, like how a heist were according to me would be absolutely perfect. I think it's when you assemble, first of all, have a game plan, like how you're supposed to go at it, because a heist is something that can't exactly be done willy nilly, right? It's something that
Hmm.
requires months, if not years, of planning, and you need the proper execution, and most important, you need a proper mindset to go ahead. Because like if you're going to have an emotional breakdown of like, okay, this is not going to happen, this is not like how am I going to pull this off, oh man, this is not going to happen, like that's something that's not it's not going to be beneficial for you in a heist. So that would be my first criteria of what would make a perfect heist. And then of course we of course need a team of of a very diverse culture, both in terms of skills and emotional stability. Like we need different, a person who's really good at executing a task, as well as a person who's really good at leadership skills, and someone who can like keep the fort down, keep the entire team calm during tough situations, like someone who's like a motivator and all of that. So I think a team is equally as important as the game plan. So that's, I think, what really makes heist perfect, in my opinion.
Yeah, so for me personally, I feel like while completely agree with everything Karan says, and I also think like there needs to be some sort of conflict that happens to make the team come back stronger. Like there has to be that questioning, saying that oh, will this actually happen, or like some major plan that we've executed to a T just like suddenly like fails and there is no plan B, or worse, what if a teammate is turned to the good side? Dun dun dun. So yeah, I feel like
Hmm.
those are very essential elements to a high story, which just like keeps you on the hook from the start to the finish.
Okay,
Yeah,
for
go
me,
ahead.
like a perfect heist is the fact that you're rooting for the anti-hero. Like that doesn't really happen often in other movies, right? There's this one main hero that you're rooting for, and then there's the villain. Over here, it's the exact opposite, and that's what makes it really interesting for me. Like, for example, even if you're watching The Dark Knight, the entire fact that that movie is interesting is because of Joker, not because of Batman. Like, once you have a strong antagonist in a film, I think it always adds to that element of fun and that thrill and that entire suspense of what will the antagonist do. That makes like any heist movie interesting.
So I think what makes a heist or the protagonist interesting is because, like you said, it's generally an anti-hero when like going through a novel about a heist or like watching a show about a heist. It's kind of like the personality of the anti-hero, you know, because generally what we think a hero generally has a very, how to say, straightforward personality. It's kind of like a good guy who always does good things, and like suddenly he is, you know, tackling the bad guys. But an anti-hero has like a really cool backstory, as to like it's not just, you know, a typical like a hero guy who just like goes and saves people. He actually has a reason. Like he generally like self-centered people are. I think that's the whole reason why people like anti-heroes and villains a lot more, because they have a lot more personality to them than a typical hero.
And on top of that, like we're a generation that has been raised on like dystopian fiction. For example, we grew up on Harry Potter. We grew up on, as Tejas said, The Dark Knight. So we're almost conditioned to look out for something to go wrong. And in that process, when you see someone like the anti-hero is actually going to succeed with a heist, it kind of gives us that weird like hope and like just fuels our dystopian daydreams.
Exactly. And the fact that like the anti-heroes have no moral foundation, right? Like in our day-to-day lives, we have a certain moral code of conduct. And it's just amusing to see that they don't have any of those foundations. So it's just their crazy imagination going wild and they're doing their own stuff. Yeah, so that for me that makes a perfect tie.
Absolutely, man. I totally agree with you. So like, you know, we talk about a lot of you know, shows and novels and all of that about heists. But I think a lot of us, if are not really familiar with heists which have actually happened in our day-to-day lives. Like you might hear all of these stories like might actually sound amusing, but we've never really experienced them in real life. So I think it's kind of important to address everyone that, you know, there are some crazy heists that have actually happened in real life. Like Shruti, have you heard of the Belgium's diamond heist of the century?
The one that happened in the Antwerp World Diamond Center thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you just
dude.
like tell me about it again, because like I've forgotten about what the entire procedure was.
Yeah, so when I read about this for the first time, I kind of just like put my like I was reading it on my phone, just put my phone, and I'm just like, damn, people are actually this smart. So what they did was, it was actually very elaborate, and they had to break in a two-floor, like a wall that was 2 floors underground, protected by 10 layers of security. And like, so the main thief, his name was Leonardo Nor. I'm sorry, wait, what's his name? Leonardo Nortab. Portlo, I think I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm sorry. But yeah, so he disguised himself as a diamond merchant and then moved into the apartment next to the center. Okay, and like first of all, dedication, and then he stayed there for like 3 years, looking at like the proceedings of the place. And and he and his crew stole diamonds worth 100 millions. 100 million like dollars worth of diamonds they stole without triggering any of the security cameras. Like I mentioned, there were 10 layers of security and 63 security cameras. They didn't trigger not one. Like, not one.
That is just
Damn.
like crazy. Like just
Ye-
imagine going past 63 cameras and not being like spotted. Like, you know, I think like me and Shruti were like always like talking about and fooling around. But like when we like went to the shop and like you just like see yourself in the camera and like you can't even avoid those cameras. Like you try to go away and stuff. And like It never works. But just imagine going through 63 security cameras. That's like so
Dude,
insanely crazy.
I
yeah, but the
wonder who
worst,
the professor was in this entire heist, though. Like, who would actually plan all of this and to do it successfully and getting away with it? It's crazy.
yeah,
That's
but
a
he didn't get away. That's the thing, no. The worst part about this heist, it's so anticlimactic. That guy, he was arrested because they found his DNA on a sandwich that he threw.
Oh my god.
It's just so
That makes me so
anticlimactic, right?
mad. That makes me so mad.
Yeah,
Like a sandwich got him arrested. Yuck. Oof.
these might not be exactly good citizen values, but I kind of wanted him to get away with it because it feels so sad. Like he planned it for 3 years and he does this, and then like something so small screws him up. Like that's just so sad.
The fact that even I don't have a clear plan ahead of me just like makes me appreciate this guy even more. Crazy.
Ex- Exactly. I think most of us don't even have like 3 minutes of attention towards our exams, and like look at the dedication and motivation this guy had. Like it's just amazing, quite honestly, to look at.
Oof.
So, guys, I've actually like recently read about this heist. It took place in California, I believe, in 1997. So basically, it was like six men, and they kind of, it was a typical sort of robbing. They like wore black clothing and black masks and all of that, of course, to sort of camouflage in the dark. And they like rented a car, or not a car. I think it was a truck or something. It was like an armored truck, I believe. So then, like, they opened the side door with the key and ambushed the night shift guards, and they dropped into the cafeteria, and they loaded their entire van with $19 million worth of cash.
Whoa,
And then,
whoa.
My
wo-
god.
but, but again, the entire story has an anticlimactic ending where one of the guys he lends his money to a nephew, and they know the police notice that the notes are not exactly printed right. They have like a different sign on them.
Oh,
Oh,
like the bank seal sign.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my
oh,
god.
dude. Wow, the
The
devil is in the
technicality,
details, man. The devil is in the details.
exactly. It was just like uh, all I like how all these like stories are like so well crafted, but then come to such an anticlimactic ending. It's just like so it's like sad. Like this like almost cliche at this point. Like no matter how good you plan, the most stupidest thing ruins it all.
This, for some reason, sounds like a very GTA 5 kind of a vibe, right? Like breaking into a building, barging in with like armored cars. Yo, my god.
Yeah,
Oh,
full San Andreas only.
Yeah.
yeah.
I actually think there was like a mission like this in GTA Vice City. Like I remember this mission. It was kind of fun, you know. GTA vibes. Like, oh, so good.
That just reminds me of the trends that everybody did, morphing themselves into like the GTA poster. Oh my God. What was happening in the pandemic, bro?
I know, right? I swear,
Yes.
there were some fools who were actually like going through all of that. I think I'm guilty of it, but
I like how Tejas admits he's kind of crazy. So yeah, you
hey,
guys
come
know
on.
what you're dealing with on this podcast. So Tejas, can like remember that one heist you were telling me about, like the in like Millennium? It took place in I believe in England near the Thames River. Can you just like tell me about the story again?
Oh, the 203 carat diamond one.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. So this was something that I
Three
had read
carrots,
long.
man.
I mean, yeah, apparently they were crazy enough to steal this. So what
Whoa.
had happened was that like the turn of the century was with fireworks and a diamond display that was going to happen at the new Millennium Dome exhibition, which was near the Thames River. So now the protagonists of our story, they sort of formed a gang and they were trying to like crash into it with a bulldozer. So similar to the one which we had talked about before, but these guys took it to the next level. They bought in sledgehammers and like there were cases filled with jewels, and they were trying to do this in broad daylight. Like either that's too genius or downright stupid.
that
But then,
kind of like makes sense. It's kind of like takes away the entire like how what we've discussed about heights. We've been like these people who like carefully plan and like go at night, and like that's when heights are executed, right? But then like these people just took it a whole 180 degrees, just bulldoze right over in broad daylight, so that everybody just sees you, and like they just like stole the 203-carat diamond. That just like sometimes I guess you just have to go Hail Mary and like just go balls to the walls, just outright.
Go big or go home. In this case, go to jail, but sure.
but yeah, I
That
don't know
just
what was
like
running through their minds while doing this. Like the fact that all eyes were going to be on you anyways, but they still decided to commit, that is something. But yeah, the story of this entire heist ends on a very sad note, obviously, because 200 police officers, they sort of came in and arrested these guys, and uh, yeah, they went to jail. But they had a fun day for sure. And of
yeah,
course,
man,
the media
definitely.
was recording all of this. So, not a
Yeah,
clean
man.
heist. Not a clean heist for sure.
Not a clean heist, but definitely something that you would remember for the rest of your life. I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
definitely an experience there.
Imagine if
So
But
someone
like,
would vlog it and post it on YouTube or something. That will be.
bro,
that would be insane. That
Mrs.
would be that would be like
They def-
that would be
Hey
like the
guys,
video keep trending all day, and like it would just be used for memes every day. Like whenever someone asks like exam ke liye kya karenge, and then they'd be like just show the video. You just bulldoze through.
hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a heist. Like, share, and subscribe.
uh, the first commenter gets the loot.
First commenter gets the note. Oh God, that sounds good. That sounds good.
Okay, but like
So,
speaking of which, are there any stories where like a normal common person has like heisted?
oh yeah, I've actually like read about this a long time ago. So apparently there was this guy called Philip Noel Johnson in the US, and he was basically a regular guy. He had an hourly job. He had like a job which paid $7 an hour. So he was I think 33 years old in 1997, and the thing is, he kind of instead of spending his night like just watching TV and like binging shows, he handcuffed one of his co-workers and left him in a bedroom closet. And then
Yo,
but the thing is, he still kept a jug of water and snacks near him. And the crazy thing about him is he literally spent 5 years to plan this heist, and he made fake IDs and even learned a new language that was Spanish, because this entire heist took place in off Mexico.
that is
So
some
like
serious dedication, man. I can't even study for my ensigns if this guy's doing that much. Wow.
exactly, and imagine learning a language like within 5 years. I mean, it like it's really hard to master a language for 5 years. Like you have to be like constantly on your game, trying to learn like new slangs of like a new place, because like every place has like different words of the same language. So it's kind of like crazy how much dedication he had. But then, like 5 months later, apparently, when he tried to come back to America, he was like coming back by the bus, and of course, like anyone who would be coming back with fake IDs would be nervous. But then he again ultimately got caught, and apparently he stole $18.8 million.
Yo,
But
dude.
out of which, but the best part was, the police recovered only $186,000. The remaining money was never found. Like no idea what he's done with it. Like maybe he's like transferred it somewhere offshore, but like I mean, I would expect this guy to do something crazy, but like yeah, that just shows you how good how even a common person, like you might see a normal security guard out at your apartment at night, but like you never know like how smart he is. Like just like really insane to see such common men like really surpass and like show this dedication towards life, because life has not exactly taken a good turn for them.
I,
It's kind of like really impressive, and I think something that if you can actually take as an inspiration in a good way.
I like the fact that Philip was not exactly shrewd. Like he was humane enough to keep a jug of water and snacks for his coworkers. But then I think his circumstances really didn't allow him to sort of succeed with the normal way of life. So he decided to do a heist altogether. Crazy.
Absolutely, man. That just like it's so good, so good. So I mean, like, we spoke about a lot of people, like, pulling off these heists, a common person, an expert, and an insider, and all of that. But like, sometimes, we have this urge, like, how would I pull off a heist, right? Like, how would I go about it? Even I want to, rob a bank and all of that. So that's sometimes like what we wonder. So I think we should educate some of our audience with like what exactly to keep in mind when you are pulling off your heist. Now, just as a disclaimer,
Disclaimer.
guys,
Yeah.
yeah, just as a disclaimer, guys, we don't condone heisting. We don't condone any acts of crime or any illegal activities. So please refrain from performing any of these activities for your own good and for your family's good. So yeah, but apart from that, let's just have fun and take all of this with a grain of salt. So Shruti, what do you think is the first thing that's required when you want to pull off your own heist?
As a professional overthinker, I honestly think that you need to understand everything. You need to analyze what you're doing. You need to analyze how every single thing can go wrong and be prepared for every single situation. You need to research for what you're going to do. You need to, like, someone's staked out for 5 years outside the place where they were robbing. Another guy learned Spanish for 5 years. You need to like properly prepare before you get in the ring, right? So that's
Okay.
a very important thing that you need to do.
Hmm.
Yeah,
True. True.
I absolutely agree.
Um.
I think like knowing what you're dealing with is incredibly important because without knowing what you're dealing with and kind of going blind, it most of the time, like 95% of the time, it doesn't work out. Like I would say, like how like the people like with the bulldozer just like went in broad daylight and just like Hail Married it. But like we all saw how that ended working out. But then the other guys, like they had a proper research and like they kind of like uh how do you say it, kind of went had a clear mind as to what they want to do. So I think that's something that's always required for not just heisting, but I think anything in life, like know what you're dealing with. I think knowledge is something that's irreplaceable in any field.
Hmm. For me, guys, if like I were to plan my heist, I would make sure that I have a really solid team. Because without you trusting the other person to do his or her job properly, you can't really conduct a successful heist. And you really need some next level coordination to make sure things go your way. And in case of any trouble, you need like multiple backup plans just to make sure that you are left to live another day alive. So for me, it will be team and coordination.
Absolutely, man. Definitely do agree with you. And one thing I feel a heist, what makes a heist is the team that you always assemble for a heist. Like the team is as important to the planning as planning. Like you might have planned all of this, but then if you don't have the proper personnel and like the proper equipment and all of that, it's of no use, right? It's just kind of like information on a blank piece of paper and nothing better. You actually like don't get anything out of it. So like I think it's very important to select the right people with the right skill sets and can always kind of make it diverse, like diversify the kind of people you recruit. Like for example in Money Heist, like we saw how the professor recruited Moscow. Like Moscow was recruited for his mining skills, but then we had another woman called Nairobi, who was an expert in printing money and overseeing the melting of gold because she was like an expert in counterfeiting and forgery. And this all and the culture diversity as well was quite prominent. Like you could see there were the three women and one was from an LGBTQ community. So like that says that having a diverse group is quite essential to whenever you're heisting. And I think it's also important because a diverse group always gives you different ideas and different ways to tackle a particular problem, rather than having a group of just similar minded people, and let's say you run into a problem and everyone has the same solution but it doesn't work out, like what do you do, right?
Hmm. Correct. Yeah, for sure. Um, but then, guys, I had this one question boggling my mind. If we were supposed to do a heist on our own, what role would each one of us take?
Mm,
So,
mm. I
That's an
genuinely think that Karan should be the like the backstage brains of the operation, and Teja should just I get in the ring and actually. So Karan is the backhand of everything, and and Tejas is the the face of the operation.
I like how
hmm.
I like how everyone just thinks I'm like the smart kid, but like can't do anything like physical. They're just like so. That's kind of nice. But yeah, that's probably what I would do. Just like sitting back and like kind of coordinating you guys. And I think Shruti would be this person who's kind of like a mix of between me and Tejas. And like she's the one who's like motivating us to go ahead. Like, come on, Karan, do this. Come on, Tejas, you can do it. There's nothing. There's not going to happen anything. Like it's just kind of crazy.
I will provide refreshments and comic relief.
Yeah, kind of like ease the mood a little bit. Be the comic relief. That's correct.
Done. You
Actually,
guys have me.
yeah,
इंजीनियरिंग के बाद
I
वैसे भी स्टैंड अप ही करने का है तो यही यही से शुरू कर लेते हैं.
Yeah, exactly, man.
हाँ हाँ, वैसे भी ट्रिपल ई में जॉब है नहीं, तो कोई ना.
Oh shit, bro. Oh shit, bro. Silent tears, honestly.
Makes heists really appealing, huh? Like all of this. It's kind of like I think this is kind of like we're kind of circling back towards like what motivates a person to perform heists. Sort of like we try to be good, like by following rules, kind of like studying, working hard, and like getting a job and getting a salary. But like, are we really like fulfilling ourselves to the fullest? Like, I think I was just having this discussion with someone. A guy, he just like casually brings his phone to the class during an exam. We all spend the day before, like studying, working hard, going through all these YouTube videos, and like like waking up in the morning and studying again. We put in all the hard work, but then there's this guy who just like this ultimate jugadu, who just like partying all day the night a night before the exam, and then like the next day he just brings his phone and just casually gets his marks. Like, who's exactly winning here? Like, is it me who's put in the blood, sweat, and tears, or is it the person who's like enjoying life to the fullest? Like, I don't know. How do you take that? I think that's what really incentivizes people to kind of follow the path of heist and making it appealing. Kind of like, why would you want to go through all this trouble when you can just take this easy route out, right?
absolutely. I mean, it's a downward slope for sure, but it's the path of least resistance. So I think that's why people really jump into all of this.
Yeah, and also I'd like to say that it's a downward slope, but you have a hell of a ride on the way down. But honestly, in my opinion, I feel like personally, I wouldn't heist, wink, wink. But I feel like there's something so raw and human about the fact that I am going to work so hard to change the position of something. I'm going to work so hard to take what I want. And that's the thing about actually heisting. But as someone who refuses to heist, again, wink wink, it's more of living vicariously through the protagonist and seeing entering a world of thrill in our mundane lives somehow.
Hmm.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
that just
for
like
sure.
so like the conversation we were having again, like kind of like breaking the monotony of life and like kind of living this whole new, side of life that you like never experience it. Like seriously gives you an adrenaline rush. Like it's really amazing.
And
But
honestly,
yeah,
bro, who wouldn't want to be Hrithik Roshan from Dhoom 2? Like legitimately, who wouldn't want to be him? Bro dressed up as the queen. Bro dressed up as a Greek statue. Bro is flying from sewers in the middle of the air and dodging bullets while Abhishek Bachchan is shooting him from a helicopter. Who wouldn't want to do that?
I mean,
uh,
like, oh man, you have scratched so many memories at this point, Shruti. Holy. Like, to be honest, as a
that's
kid, that was the most appealing thing ever, right? Just watching Hrithik Roshan sort of pull off all these crazy stunts back in the day. I think we have had better content now and we sort of diss it right now. But then as a kid, you really don't understand much, right? So that is your entire idea of a heist. And that was so fascinating back then.
And honestly,
I
like
swear, man.
I will die on this hill, but Dhoom was better than Frisch. At me, it's fine. At me.
I mean, I completely agree with you. And I think at that time, like when we were kids, we like didn't. I mean, like of course we saw the diamond and all of that, and like got appealed by it. But like I think all of us got appealed by Doom for the entire action, like all the thrill. Like I mean, I don't care much for the diamond as long as I get to do all of that. Like kind of a happy man. It's really, I just love it.
And
It's just
also,
amazing.
yeah, and also special another not special mention, but also second prize goes to Bang Bang, Hrithik Roshan and Katrina Kaif stealing the diamond. Just amazing.
Ah, correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I remember that. Yes. Oof. I think what made these heists so appealing was the fact that they were very clean, like no sort of blood, nothing, just a very sort of a linearly done heist done to absolute perfection. So just stealing the stuff and getting out there without leaving any evidence. That was something that made it really amusing to watch back in the day. Yep.
Absolutely agree. I think that's how heists are always supposed to be, right? Like it just needs to have as few casualties and as few problems as possible. So that's the whole reason like people like try to avoid killing, and like it kind of like it's not exactly a smart I mean there's no difference between a murder and a heist if you just like go in and kill people, right? So I think the whole point of killing people kind of like defeats the whole point of a heist, in my opinion. So yeah, that's definitely something I would refrain from if I were to heist myself. By the way, I would leave that to you if me going about a heist. Wink, wink.
I mean, if nothing works out in engineering, I guess I have a place of refuge. So, but no,
Who says
guys.
I haven't?
Speaking of speaking of which,
Oh, okay.
what are your weekend plans, bro? We can like actually sit and plan this.
Like a proper
I know.
heist, I'm
I,
all up
Yeah,
for it.
yeah, done,
I'm all up for it as
sorted.
well.
And honestly, if you don't spend your weekends planning heists with your friends, what are you doing?
I swear.
Actually
Like
living life.
what else?
Whoa, bro, whoa,
You're not
whoa,
living
whoa.
life when you're not planning a high stages. That is not living. That's like being dead, but just like being physically there.
NPC.
Yeah, exactly. An NPC. That's what you are. that was that was so cruel towards stages. Like the stages must think that like me and Shruti are like crazy people to like talk about heists. Like he might actually think there's something mentally wrong with us.
Of course
No,
there
guys.
is. Of course there is.
There is.
No. To be honest, this it will probably be a lot of fun. So I'm all up for it, 100%. Anytime that you say.
Yeah,
But yes,
sure, man.
that was our podcast for all things high. Thank you so much for joining us for our first podcast. And I'll let Faris take it on from here.
Hi guys. Firstly, I will reiterate on the previous points that our speakers, that our panel made. Please follow God. If not God, follow something good. Do not heist. Do not murder people. Do not go around stealing shit. Okay. If you want to do something, please do it the right way. Please do it in a legal way. Uh, unless you live in a dictatorship. But unless the dictator is, you know what? Never mind. I'll just leave it there at that. But yeah, do not heist. We do not condone this. I mean, if you want to, it's your choice. But we do not condone this. We do not support it. And yeah, we hope you sincerely enjoyed this episode. Um, our socials and our contacts will be there in the description. Do reach out to us with your suggestions, your feedback. It is valuable. It'll help us in our journey as it comes along the weeks and months and hopefully years. And yes, do share it with everybody you know. If you are a student of Mahe, do share it with everybody you know, like I said. And yeah, that's about it. Have a great day and tune back in for our next episode. See you soon. Bye bye.